Helldiver Cadets, you survived your first few dives and now you think you're the next General Brash. You're not. Not yet, but you can be. I'm going to give you a concise but detailed breakdown of how damage works since it's pretty convoluted. This isn't of value to your average Helldiver who just wants to jump in, shoot stuff, and call it a day. This is for those that enjoy the guts of combat, the would-be legends. Alright, most weapons have two damage values, standard and durable. For example, the good old Liberator has a light armor pen and deals 80 standard damage and 15 versus durable. Standard damage is just that, the amount of damage that the weapon deals as long as its armor penetration value is greater than that of the target's armor. You see this happening when you get that red X symbol, you're doing full damage. If your weapon matches the target's armor, you deal 65% of this damage and you'll see that white X symbol. If the AP is less, the shot deflects and you deal nothing. Also note that the penetration is also affected by the angle of fire. Often, this only reduces your penetration value by 1, and if you're at an extreme angle, but that's why sometimes you see that white marker instead of the red when you don't expect. And you're like, what the heck, I'm using the right weapon, why is this happening? That's why. Okay? So far, so good. Some enemies, well rather a lot of them, have sections that have a durable value expressed as a percentage. This is the amount of damage that reduces standard damage and applies that percentage to durable damage to calculate a total damage. I know I'm saying damage a lot. For example, let's take a look at the rear end of a nursing spewer. It has a durable damage rating of 90%. What happens when we fire our trusty Liberator at this section of the nursing spewer? Well, our Liberator has light armor pen and the section that we're shooting at is unarmored, so we're going to be doing full damage. Putting damage fall off aside by firing at point blank range, I don't want to deal with that right now. Each round will just do 8 standard damage to this section and 13.5 rounded to 14, I think we rounded up in this case, of durable for a total of 22 damage per round. With a hit point total of 750, you'll need around 35 rounds to drop it, which is why durable sections soak up so many bullets. Looking at another ballistic weapon that has better durable damage, we see a huge improvement. Using the Jar 5 Dominator that deals 275 standard and 90 durable damage, we instead get 109 to this section per shot, requiring 6.8 or 7 shots to blow it up. Now, in the field, you're going to see different results as you hit different parts, with different armor ratings at all kind of ranges since there is damage drop-off over distance. You're still with me, right? Let's now talk about enemies. Bad guys have a main hit point pool and are made up of various parts, each with their own hit points and armor values. There are 2 key ways of dropping baddies: depleting their main hit points or destroying a part that's fatal. So, going back to our nursing spewer, its main body has 750 hit points and its parts have different armor ratings, durability, and a new concept we're introducing, percent to main. What this means is that damage dealt to a part not only deals hit points damage to that part, but also it takes away from the main health pool. This is how you can drop, say, a spewer without blowing up any piece of it, because you can spread the damage out where it's not enough to destroy any one bit, but enough to deplete its overall health. By finding out which parts are fatal, you can shortcut to a creature's demise. For example, with its head requiring only light armor pen with 300 hit points and no durable rating, even the Liberator is going to make short work of that section, since even though the spewer will have 450 remaining hit points, without a head, it's still kaput. So, going back to our example with the Liberator, each shot was actually doing 22 damage to that section, that rear end section that we talked about, and with each shot, 13 damage to the main health pool. The Dominator was doing 109 to that section and 65 to the main health pool. Some weapons, for example the Scorcher, deals a different kind of damage which warrants special attention, explosive damage, and it's treated pretty differently. Explosions have their own damage, armor penetration which differ if they're inner or outer radius, and impacts on enemy health pools. They ignore durability and have their own damage reduced according to the explosion armor pen and the main armor. Where the potency of explosive weapons really comes in is when this kind of damage double dips. So when you deal explosive damage, 2 things happen. First, damage is dealt to the main hit point pool according to armor pen if the explosive pen is higher than the main's armor. In that case, it deals full damage. If it ties, 65%. Then, the explosion deals damage to all limbs in its radius that it could reach, and that is mitigated by limb's explosion resistance. I know, that's a lot. We're going to break it down. Let's take a look at that Scorcher. It deals 100 standard, 50 durable, and has an explosive damage value of 100 with a relatively small radius that falls off over distance. So, let's shoot it at the same spot of our spewer and let's see what happens. Let's start with the projectile damage. The round itself deals 55 damage to the section and 33 to the main, but that's not all. That section also takes explosive damage since the limb has no explosive resistance, getting hit with another 100 damage and 60 more to the main. So far, we have a total of 155 to that section and 93 to main, and that's still not all. Explosive damage also deals direct damage to main, since the Scorcher explosion has medium armor pen and the main's body of the spewer is only light. So, we deal another 100 to the main because durability is not applied for a new total of 193 to the main slot with just a single shot. To go even further, if the radius of the Scorcher blast touches another section like the spinal plating, that would also take explosive damage, likely less than 100 because it's beyond that inner radius, somewhere around there, and a percentage of that will also go to main. So let's say it does reach the spinal plating at, maybe we're at 50 damage at that point. It damages that section and applies 20% of that to main, adding yet another 10 for a total of 203 to main from one shot. This is why explosive damage is so potent. It gets through durable parts and can have the potential for additive damage as it hits more. Okay, so look, I don't know if your head's fried, but there's more like projectile caliber, weight, muzzle velocity, but that's insanely in the weeds. That's information that, perhaps more than you really just don't really want to know about. And if you can go to the wiki since it explains it pretty well. If you can do me the honor of sharing this with your fellow Helldivers, I would greatly appreciate it. Happy diving, y'all.